What's up, Todd Squad, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all enjoyed your Labor Day weekend and had some fun in a safe way. So today I have another interesting video for you. You know, some of you may know this, some of you may not. I'm pretty sure most of my subscribers know this, but I'm in law school. I'm a third-year law student, and the question I get a lot from people is wanting to know whether the popular TV shows on TV, are they anything like real law practice, or are they anything like real law school? The one show I get asked about particularly is How to Get Away with Murder, since it includes a lot of law school scenes and is practically about students in law school. So I thought, you know, hey, why don't I do a recap on a small clip of How to Get Away with Murder, a little reaction, and tell you how realistic it is to real law school. Now, I know I'm about 6 years late with this, but I figured, hey, this year was the last season of How to Get Away with Murder, so how about celebrating that with a How to Get Away with Murder reaction? So anyway, let's get into the video. And this scene we're about to see, it's a small clip, it's only about 3 minutes, but you know, most of How to Get Away with Murder isn't really in a law school class, and I figured the whole episode wouldn't necessarily be related to it. So I thought this clip was perfect since it's about first-year law students on their first day of class. So let's get into it.
Good morning. I don't know what terrible things you've done in your life up to this point, but clearly your karma is out of balance to get assigned to my class. I'm Professor Annalise Keating. And this is Criminal Law 100, or as I prefer to call it,
well, just to stop right there, just from the start, the class that they're taking is spot on. All students in their first year of law school will take kind of what they call like your general courses, like your bar mandated courses, which is Criminal Law 100, Contracts Law, Civil Procedures, Torts Law, Constitutional Law, and am I forgetting anyone? Guys, it's only been about 2 years since my first year of law school, but it feels like ages ago, so I'm kind of blinking, but I think those were pretty much all the mandated courses. So yeah, you would definitely be taking a criminal law class. Regardless of what area you want to practice, those courses are courses that everyone has to take in order to graduate law school.
How to Get Away with Murder.
I wish my criminal law class had an interesting name like that. That seems pretty interesting.
unlike many of my colleagues, I will not be teaching you how to study the law or theorize about it, but rather how to practice it in a courtroom, like a real lawyer. Now to our first case study.
Pause right there. I know this is a lot of pauses, but what she's saying is, it's kind of funny because at my university, they're all about giving you practical real world experience. So that way, when you actually go out into the world as an attorney, you have, it's not just book smarts and all theory, you actually know how to practice in the real world and have these skill sets to actually thrive in the courtroom setting if you're going to be in a courtroom setting, or thrive in a negotiation if you're going to be more of a transactional lawyer. So what she said is actually something that my law school does. However, most of your first year courses are so, there's so much content to get through that you just kind of have to know and have to get through in order to, pass that bar exam 3 years later, to the point where while we would do a lot of hypotheticals, I would say a criminal law class in your first year of law school would primarily be theory. It wouldn't really be any practical real world law experience. Like, your professors will probably impart some of that knowledge and wisdom in there, but most of your first year courses are primarily doctrinal or, theories. So, yeah, I don't think that that's that realistic.
The aspirin assassin. Tell us the facts. Connor Walsh.
The Commonwealth v. Gina Sadowski was a case of attempted murder. The defendant, Miss Sadowski, worked as the second assistant to the victim. Arthur Kaufman, the CEO of an advertising agency.
Now, what she just did is called cold calling, and that is right on spot for law school. In most of your first year classes, you're going to do a thing called cold calls. Now, what is a cold call for people who are in law school? Essentially, a cold call is kind of what you just saw in that clip. Your professor will call on students at random and ask you a series of questions.
Miss Sadowski was not only his assistant, though. She was also his mistress.
What happened after Mr. Kaufman's wife of 27 years, Agnes, found out about the affair?
He ended the relationship and transferred her to the accounting department. That's when she allegedly switched one of his blood pressure pills for an aspirin, which she knew he was allergic to.
What occurred when Mr. Kaufman ingested the aspirin? Anyone?
Mr. Kaufman went into anaphylactic shock. His throat swelled and his brain was deprived of oxygen for 7 minutes.
I would definitely say Michaela is a prime example of a gunner. Now, a gunner in law school is a student that kind of goes for every, answers every question and likes to show off their skills.
Boy, if you don't...
Now, gunners get like a negative kind of connotation. I don't know. I guess it's all in the way you do it. I guess there's nothing ever wrong about knowing your case material and knowing it like the back of your hand, which is kind of what your professors want you to do. But I definitely would say she's pretty much a gunner.
Before his first assistant was able to resuscitate him, Michaela Pratt.
So we've established the actus reus. What was the mens rea? Wesley Gibbons.
Great law school terms. His face was so classic, and I believe about every law student probably at one point or another had that experience of being cold called and literally not knowing what's going on, and you have that same facial expression.
Have you ever had a dream that you
Now, in my law school, I know every professor is different. If you weren't prepared, it wasn't kind of like a, professor wouldn't throw you out or yell at you in front of the class. But it definitely could probably deduct some points for class if they actually had points towards participation in your final grade. But I love that expression because I feel like every law student at one point had that moment of like, oh crap, I'm getting cold called.
Mens rea? Right.
Day one and you're unprepared?
No. Well, yes, but I didn't know there was...
That's another interesting point. In law school, and I had a lot of college classes in undergrad that did this as well, but in law school, most of the time, you really those syllabus days where it's kind of like loosey-goosey, we just go over the syllabus. Those are few and far between in law school. Most law school classes, you're hitting the ground running.
There was anything to prepare.
I emailed the assignment to the entire class 2 days ago.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Mr. Gibbons.
If you hear any weird noises, that's them emptying the dumpsters. I feel like every time I film a video, there's something going on. Last time it was a cleaning crew. This time it's dumpsters. Oh gosh.
As a defense attorney, I spend most of my time around professional liars. So you have to work really hard to fool me.
Like I said, most professors won't be this aggressive.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? Blake.
What?
Do you want to go to war, Balaki?
No.
Because we...
Putting you on the spot like that for not being prepared. They really want you to be prepared and they will probably be disappointed, but this, no.
I only got accepted here 2 days ago. From the wait list. So that's probably why you didn't get my email address.
Let me help you out. Actus reus means guilty act, the poisoning of Mr. Kaufman with an aspirin, whereas mens rea means guilty mind. So what was Miss Sadowski's mens rea?
Now, that is very realistic. A lot of times professors, if you say that I'm like completely unprepared and I actually got the readings wrong and I didn't read the right reading, most of the time they'll move on. But if you seem just like a little unprepared or you're kind of confused, most professors will stay on you like that to kind of help you work through the problem. And I feel like a lot of professors, it's not out of like a malice of let's embarrass this person for as long as possible. It's out of, I guess, a want to help you through the problem, to make it a learning experience so you can actually learn the material and help it sink in, because they don't want you to leave class confused, because that can just be a huge, horrible chain reaction leading up to the exam.
Think, Mr. Gibbons. It's nothing more than common sense.
I don't know if it's that much. I mean, now this is my third year of law school, it seems like common sense, but I don't think you could go up to just anybody down the street and say, what is mens rea?
Well. Next question. See ya.
In a case and they will know it. So I don't know how much of common sense that is.
Will the individual who just spoke please stand and repeat the answer?
The mens rea, also referred to as intent, was to kill Mr. Kaufman.
That's right. Your name?
Laurel Castillo.
Never take a learning opportunity away from another student. No matter how smart you need everyone to think you are.
All right, before we move on, are there any other questions? Mr. Walsh.
I noticed that the verdict wasn't listed here, so I guess my question is, did she do it?
Why don't you ask her yourself?
Okay. That clip just ended, but I'm a big How to Get Away with Murder fan, so I've seen every episode. So essentially what was happening there, now, I wouldn't say most of, probably all of your cases that you're going to be reading in law school or in a case book, they are old cases that have already been decided that the authors of that book feels as though were perfect to kind of either explain a topic in that particular area of law that the class is covering, or that was actually significant in shaping that area of the law. So what was about to happen is that this class was going to find out that the case that they were reading was actually a current case from their professor Annalise, and that they were all about to go to her law firm and actually get to sit in on a deposition. Now,
They tried it. Oh, they tried it. You tried it.
out of everything in that episode, that is the most unrealistic thing I've seen in that whole episode. Because, first of all, with the client, first of all, there's duties of confidentiality. So, I don't know, blabbing the whole kind of details of your case and then actually taking them in to a firm as a first-year law student with hundreds of students seems like you may be getting into... Now, I know there can be waivers and if the client gives permission and things, but it just seems like you would be stepping into sticky territory there. So, like, I don't know. That seems kind of strange to me. And also, these are first-year law students. So to take them in on a case and start asking them questions to analyze for a real client seems totally out of bounds. Yeah, that's pretty unrealistic. But overall, guys, I hope that you all enjoyed this quick video and learned a little bit about law school and learned how it compares to How to Get Away with Murder. Overall, I would say that How to Get Away with Murder does a pretty good job of kind of showing you the vibe of law school, as in like hard studying and intense studying and cold calling. And as you get further in the seasons, you see a lot of them doing like group studying and preparing for hard exams. So it does a good job. However, it is a TV show. They have to up the drama. So it does take a nosedive off the cliff. off the cliff as far as some aspects where it's just completely unrealistic. Like, for example, I'm not going to try to ruin it, but you'll see that some of these law students in this first year class, during their first year, gets hired as interns at her law firm and begins to do like real legal work, which totally unrealistic. Overall, I would give How to Get Away with Murder, as far as realism, as far as law school, geez, that's a hard one. I want to say like a C-, just because I think I'm going to go with a C-, only because they kind of get an A for the workload and things like that, but I can't go any higher just because they take some serious deviations from what is realistic for a real law student and what a real professor would be doing with their law students. So I would say I'll give it a big C- for law school realism. So guys, anyway, I hope you liked that video. If you would like to see more reactions or you had any more questions about law school, maybe let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more videos like that. I know a lot of people ask me about Law and Order, so I may do a Law and Order video, but let me know if you would like to see a video like that. But otherwise, guys, Ty Squad, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Do you want to join the Ty Squad, one of the littest up-and-coming squads on YouTube? Then just like, comment, and subscribe, and join the squad.